good? Awesome. Let her rip.
All right. Thank you, Dave. Hello, everyone. So as Dave said, my name is Shelagh Cole. I grew up in Mississauga, Ontario, but I now call Tatamagouche, Nova Scotia home. I'm honored to be speaking to a room full of such influential leaders. You all, whether you realize it or not, have a significant role in supporting and improving the lives of many children, one of which happened to be me. I first attended camp in Quéant, Quebec, and I continued my camp experience at the camps in Parry Sound and St. George, Ontario. It was truly the time of my life. I met amazing friends, took part in incredible activities, and unbeknownst to me, set the foundation for a strong, bright future with the camp and for the trajectory of my life. It was an honor to be able to attend camp year after year. I always tell people I was unfortunate enough to be fortunate enough to attend the Tim Hortons camp. Every year from the age of 12 to 17 had been some of the most exciting and challenging of my life. And even now, as I stand here as an adult, I know that to be true. To start, I was accepted into an international business and technology program. An academics excellence program, I had the grades and academics were my strong suit. I truly felt like this accomplishment was my ticket out of my circumstances. But I would soon discover the many challenges ahead which seemed to shadow this triumph. My mom liked to encourage street smarts, and my desire to learn and pursue academics were met with discouragement and family responsibilities. She'd always say, "You think you're better than us," like I was betraying her by having dreams and aspirations. And I did want to be better. I was going to break the cycle and do incredible things. I was able to see past the negativity I was surrounded by at home, but it was difficult to move past the series of events that followed. During the summer of 2004, I lost my biological father to cancer with so many unanswered questions. The inability of my parents to get along prevented me from having the kind of relationship with my father that every girl dreams of. And I heartbreakingly had to find out how much he loved and adored me at his funeral. After the loss of my father, my older sister, my only fully biological sibling of 5, ran away from home to live with her older boyfriend. She was supposed to be my best friend, and she left without explanation. The challenges seemed to pile on. After I returned home from camp in the summer of 2006, my mom decided she no longer wanted to care for me. She said she didn't care if I was dead or alive or if she ever saw me again. And I'll never forget the numbing feeling of inadequacy as I heard those words. I was living in an apartment my grandmother had rented for me. Being in that academic program and my grandmother in another city, it was the only way to continue to pursue my academics, but at the expense of loneliness and abandonment. I'd see all my friends at school wearing nice clothes, eating incredible lunches, and being picked up by their parents. And I was catching the city transit bus to commute home to an empty apartment, wondering why I wasn't good enough to have the life that they did. And even with all the freedom a teenager could possibly imagine, because of the values instilled in this camp, I still managed to maintain my commitment to my education, but it wasn't easy. During this time, to say you just have to stay positive. You're strong enough and you're going to get through this was difficult even on the best of days. But every summer, regardless of what I was facing, I showed up to the airport and I was more than ready to take on camp. 10 days of freedom, 10 days to meet incredible people going through tough times, to come together and be empowered to take on the next year of challenges ahead. 10 days to forget what was waiting at home, whatever home was that year. I've seen many fall victim of circumstance, and for me that's not the case, and I have this camp to thank. When you seem to have very few people in your corner cheering you on and you're doing great things despite it, it's not luck. Growing up, rarely did I ever feel lucky. It's the ability, the acquired skill, if you will, to persevere. And that perseverance is at the base of this camp. For example, each year included a 6-day canoe trip. You take canoes out into the wilderness and battle the elements. The horrid mosquitoes attacking your face while you portage canoes for 10, 20 kilometers. The undesirable weather that always seemed to catch you on one day or another, or all 6. Losing gear in the bottom of a lake, and then spending 12 hours paddling for what seemed like hundreds of kilometers upwind on choppy lakes. On the last day of one canoe trip, as we approached the shore, the wind pushed our group further away. A boat came out to get us, and on its way back broke down. Luckily, there was a pontoon near which rescued the boat and the canoes and the rest of us. It had a funny way of demonstrating to a group of young girls who felt like only bad things ever happened to them, that sometimes life can seem like one disaster after another, but eventually you will get to where you want to be if you stay committed to your goals and just push through those challenges. Camp wasn't always easy, and it wasn't supposed to be, but those hard days were always followed by the most brilliant beauty that I would have never experienced otherwise. Reaching the top of the highest peak in southern Ontario at 1,900 feet, feeling on top of the world, seeing clear straight down to the bottom of a dead lake, waking up to the stillness of the birds, stillness of the water and the sounds of the birds and squirrels, having counselors remind us that even if we felt insignificant in this world, there was someone who thought we were pretty amazing. Enjoying stories and laughs around a campfire to soothe the soul after a long, hard day, and for a lot of us, after a hard life. These are the moments I will never forget. See, camp was a place to escape, where you were spoken to as an individual, as someone with something to add to the conversation. You weren't silenced, but encouraged to have a voice and share your unique perspective. Many of us came from situations where every time we spoke, we were met with, "You can't." If I went through all those obstacles and all I ever heard were the "you can'ts" or "you're not good enoughs," I can guess I may not have made it through those vulnerable years, and I certainly wouldn't be where I am today. Camp was the one constant variable in our lives that showed up and continued to say, "You can." There are options and endless possibilities. Dream big. You have a greatness in you like no other. Camp built up the walls that were being destroyed the other 355 days of the year. It's actually pretty incredible what was accomplished in just 10 days at camp. And the benefits of the program didn't stop once I completed my time with the camp. After high school, although I was accepted into every university I applied to, I eventually made the decision to start an adventure with an airline as a flight attendant and followed another passion of mine, travel. That's when I found my way to Nova Scotia. The company opened a Halifax base, and I was more than ready to escape to the East Coast. I met my husband, a pilot from Tatamagouche. We bought our house there, and it's 3 kilometers down the road from the Tim Hortons camp. I even made a friend with a woman who works at the camp, and that friendship is how I was given the opportunity to share my story there, and now here with you all today. After making Tatamagouche home, the first permanent home I've had in my existence, I made the decision to go back to school. With my foundation of perseverance from camp, access to the bursary, and my continued commitment to my education, I was able to graduate with honors from the nursing program. A career path I chose so that I could work with families and make their lives better and make a difference on a daily basis. I also look forward to continuing my work with the Tim Hortons camp as a role model to all campers and store owners alike, to show what opportunities like this camp can do for a young child. My journey isn't finished. I know I will make great things happen. One day, I too will be sitting in an audience just like you all, hearing the story of how my work has impacted lives. I have 2 little girls of my own now. Sorry. And their life is beautiful, full of love, and everything I wish I had. A permanent home, loving parents who support and encourage them, family traditions, and a mom who will move mountains to ensure they're not exposed to the elements of my life that were dysfunctional. They're going to miss out on the opportunity of this camp, but I know I'll instill in them all that's been ingrained in me from it. I'm raising little girls who will never have to question their worth or survive their childhood. Thanks to you, they are going to have the support from me that was passed on from this camp during my childhood, and set the foundation for strong, bright futures for themselves, but also for future generations. That is a legacy I'm more than proud to leave behind. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you all for continuing to support a cause that has not only changed my life, but my family's entirely. I will forever be grateful for this incredible opportunity. So I'd like to end with a quote I first heard one summer at camp. It stuck with me and reminded me that regardless of the hardships, push through and success will taste that much sweeter. It's by Teddy Roosevelt, who said, "It's not the critic who counts. The credit belongs to the man or woman who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by the dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who, if at worst fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his or her place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory or defeat. A soft, easy life is not worth living. If it impairs the fiber of brain and heart and muscle, we must dare to be great, and we must realize that greatness is the fruit of toil and sacrifice and high courage. For us is the life of action, of strenuous performance of duty. Let us live in the harness, striving mightily. Let us rather run the risk of wearing out than resting out." Thank you.
Oh my God. Incredible. Take it this side. You rocked it.